Well, we're back for our next departmental budget discussion, and we're here with the public defender this morning. I'm joined by Emily Pacini, who is the chief of staff here in the mayor's office, and by Talia Lomax O'Neill, the city's finance director. Before we get started, let me just say a few things in general about last year. So as you might recall, last year was not a budget that anybody was really excited about. It was unusual circumstances in many respects, but everybody stuck together, and we tightened our belts and made it through the last 12 months. As a result of that work, in terms of managing our expenses and having a greater revenue this year, we are in a position where we can give a 3% cost of living adjustment to our employees this year. So everybody who works for Metro is going to get a 3% cost of living adjustment, plus the potential for a step increase or an open range increase on top of that. And so that's a big part of showing our Metro employees that we appreciate their hard work and getting closer to what they deserve as employees. So right now we're here with the city's public defender, Martisa Johnson. Congratulations again on your election. I guess you got elected between then and now, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is your actual first time here as the public defender. I think you came last year with Dawn Diener, but so congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're following the district attorney, so y'all are coming as a pair, I guess, since you work so closely together, even though you're, I guess, adversaries as much as anything. So, Martisa, thank you for coming, and if you'll introduce who came with you, and then leave a little bit of time for us to ask questions at the end.
I will. Thank you. I am here today with Annette Crutchfield, who is our Administrative Services Manager, and does so much to help me navigate this new position and make sure that we are being good stewards of our finances and of our office. Frankly, I couldn't do what I do without Annette, so I'm grateful for her service and for being here with me today. The Public Defender's Office defends the liberty, honor, and constitutional rights of the individuals, both adults and children, whose cases have been entrusted to us. We do that because our Constitution guarantees everyone the right to counsel when their liberty is at stake. But we really do so much more than that. It is our mission to be zealous advocates, striving not only to deliver excellence in our representation of each and every client, but also to stand with our clients and the community in working to create a more just and compassionate legal system. The legal assistants, paralegals, interns, social workers, client advocates, investigators, administrative services team, and attorneys who have committed themselves to being public defenders work tirelessly daily to ensure that our clients are seen as much more than names on a docket. And I want to take a moment right now to acknowledge them for that and to thank them immensely for their service. We also constantly remind those in the system that there is dignity in all people and compassion is necessary even for those who have broken the law and harmed others. We are client-centered. We are committed to innovative advocacy. We are partners with the community and engaged in systemic reform, particularly related to bail, an issue that affects our clients immensely, and we hope to one day see the end of wealth-based detention. We protect those who are innocent from wrongful conviction. We seek equal justice for some of our most vulnerable residents in Nashville who often end up in jail because other systems have shortcomings, like they can't receive quality education, or they have been riddled by addiction and mental illness that can't be appropriately treated, or simply because they experienced a childhood that was riddled with poverty and traumatic experiences. We are committed to partnering with the other criminal justice stakeholders, including the DA, the sheriff, and judges, other people in the system, to focus on practices that are restorative and focus on rehabilitation, and also to create an emphasis on reentry. In short, and I say this very emphatically, there is no justice without us. We are continuously grateful for Metro's commitment to public defense and for providing us with funding to accomplish our goals. I think that my predecessor said it every year, and I will probably say it year in and year out as well. Without what Metro does for us, we would not be able to do our functions, and we are greatly appreciative of that. The state does not give us the same amount of funding, and that is a point that we need to point out. I won't spend much time in the debate about salary disparity with the DA's office because I think that you all are able to do that analysis for yourselves and see that while, yes, our salaries are competitive as they should be for new lawyers working in the public defender's office, the DA's office has a benefit of receiving a wealth of state resources and metro resources that we don't receive. In addition to that, they outpace us in their salaries quite significantly, and my lawyers stay at a certain salary range for a lot longer. I think we will end this year strong. I anticipate that we will heed your recommendations for us in our budget and giving reversions back. That is not an easy thing for us to accomplish by any means, but I believe we will accomplish that goal and end our year strong. This fiscal year, we have sort of narrowed down our ask to 3 areas. 2 of those are things that happened before my tenure, and that included the public defender salary increase and rent increase for our building over at Parkway Towers. Both of those items happened last year, but were not funded in our budget. And if they are not funded going forward, then we will have to look to other ways to be able to fund our rent increase and the increase to the salary position. That means we will have to really tighten our belts in other hiring areas and operational things for our office. The biggest thing that we sort of analyzed this year at the mayor's request was how body cameras will impact our ability to do our work. We have done that. We have done that trying to keep in mind that we won't be able to tell you specifically how much it's going to cost us or what we will need to be able to accommodate body cameras coming into the city. So what we have done is look to what are our needs to make sure that our system continues to run in a way that our clients are not going to have to stay in jail longer. That would be our number one priority, and that we are able to still provide them with excellent representation and make sure that before we are talking to our clients about entering pleas or giving up some of their constitutional rights, that we have done everything on our end to investigate their case and make sure they are adequately represented. In order to do that, we have made an ask with an expense of $895,900 so that we can fund 10 positions to help us continue to provide the level of service that we provide. I think that we will find that there will probably be additional needs, but that is our attempt to figure out how exactly we will be impacted at the point that body cameras enter our city. As it relates to the Blue Ribbon Commission, our agency is one that provides legal representation to poor people. So quite frankly, I can't be in a position where I am encouraging or offering up ways to increase revenue in a way that could have an impact to my client population. Additionally, I am being as good a steward as I can of every dime of money you all are giving, so there is nothing I can do to readjust our budget to give any more back. And the only thing that we did include in our Blue Ribbon Commission is that we have every year, and did the same this year, made a request of the state to increase our funding so that we will be able to do more and be able to get more money from the state. And that request was submitted and was not granted.
Any questions?
Can I ask you about body cams?
Yes, ma'am.
The 10 positions, can you talk a little bit about, are those paralegals? What type of positions those are?
Yes, ma'am. I can break that down for you. Give me 1 second.
Just generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts there?
That ask is for us to essentially create a team that can be in-house watching the footage while we are in court with the others. So that is 6 attorney positions, a criminal investigator position, an additional data analyst, a law clerk, and a client advocate, which creates an additional team of people to do the work that we do on a daily basis, particularly as it relates to the jail dockets, which is where this will have the most impact.
So the way you and I talked about this, the way I understand it is that there are 3 jail dockets, is that right? And you were going to add 2 new lawyers to each docket with the support staff necessary for those for that team. Is that right?
That's what we're thinking at this
Right.
point.
And that, so essentially you would be able, you're then going to have two teams doing essentially the same thing, and each team would have the capacity to look at the body cam footage applicable to the cases they were handling. Is that right?
If other parts of the system work the way we hope to, and we are provided the link to watch the footage as soon as it is uploaded, we will have a team of lawyers who are able to watch that before their daily court appearance, and a team of
Right.
lawyers who are prepping the next day.
So you're not, the way I understand it, and I could misunderstand, but you're not creating a new team to focus on body cams. You're really just adding additional resources so that your existing teams will have more time so that they can look at the body cam footage before they go to court on the jail dockets. Is that right?
I think that is a way to put it for sure. There is no way for me to just assign a team of people to say, all we do every day is look at body camera footage, because
Right.
quite frankly, the volume that we see on those jail dockets won't support that.
Right.
And even the sort of prep work is a complex thing that requires quite a bit. So one team of lawyers would not be able to do that without asking for continuances in the cases in court.
Right. And so, and that's because like a lawyer defending somebody charged with a particular crime on the jail docket, they need to look at all the evidence, including the body cam evidence, before they would make a recommendation to their client, right?
Yes, that is the most
You don't wanna-
ideal. And so the system that we have right now on the felonies allows a 48-hour window, essentially, when someone is arrested, for us to prep for that first court appearance. So in that time frame, our lawyers are learning who their clients are. They are then going to the respective jail facilities to interview them, doing all of the initial investigation that we can, incorporating social services, and doing what we can so that day one in court we are prepared to go forward in that case.
And so I don't think any of us really know exactly what level of resources we're going to need because we haven't done it yet on body cams, right? But an indication that we were under-resourced on body cams would be if the average day before prelim or the average day before trial started to creep up, right? If somebody was detained, if it went from 100 days to 130 days, that would be an indication that we didn't have adequate resources for your side, at least, to prepare for trial. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Right. And I guess there's also the potential that we would have some sort of constitutional violation at some point if things got delayed too long, right?
That, and you will certainly hear me saying we are being ineffective if you expect me to be able to have any court proceeding where I know evidence exists in my client's case and I have not examined it to appropriately advise them about their cases.
And then I guess if there is a secondary cost, if somebody's incarcerated for an extra 50 days before their trial or disposition, that we're paying more or less $100 a day for them to be incarcerated, right?
Yes.
So I guess those are the ways. I mean, I can't tell you that I know the answer, but I think the questions are going to be along those lines in a year of like, what happened, and how did we see the average day go up? Did the average time of detention go up? Did we see what did we see? I mean, we're going to add some resources in this year's budget, but I think at the end of the year, we're going to look back and want to see, and it may not be. It may take us 2 or 3 years to really figure out exactly what the resources needed are, but those are the kinds of things I think we'll all be looking at. Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.